It's Monday, so y'all already know what that means. Monday Mailbag. This is where I answer any questions y'all guys ask me about college football, the video game, real life, whatever y'all got. So any questions, drop them down below. We're going to put 10 minutes on the clock, and we're going to answer any questions you guys asked. If y'all do enjoy the content, like, comment, subscribe, go over to the Twitch, drop a follow. Also, Discord down below. Check it out. Now, with that being said, let's get into the questions, man. We're going to put 10 minutes on the clock. And let's get into our first question. This one's a hot one, man. This one was actually asked on my live stream, so shout out to you. When are the Dynasty deep dives dropping? Just when are the deep dives dropping in general, man? And that's a great question. I've seen people on Twitter going crazy, talking about where the deep dives, asking everyone, man. They was expecting it, I think, today. If you listen to me at all, I was saying probably next week. But upon doing some further research, I think we're going to get the deep dives at a different point, man. So, one thing to note, the trailer that dropped year one, College Football 25, dropped around 2 weeks later than this year trailer. So, also keep that in mind that everything is kind of working behind. I'm sure it's on purpose, but it seems like they're doing everything a little bit later. So, also, the game comes out earlier, though, because this game came out on the 7th. Last year, game came out on the 12th, 13th, I want to say, somewhere. It just came out later. So that's one thing to note as well. But let's look to see when the first deep dive dropped, which was the gameplay one that we got this week. And it came out on the 31st of May. So we're at the 16th. It's over 2 weeks since, at this point, like, we should have got a gameplay deep dive if we're going off last year's schedule. But clearly they're not going off that, man. And also, this is a Friday. So this makes me believe it's a chance we get the deep dive this upcoming Friday, because it makes sense to drop in a Friday, man. End of the week, everyone loves Friday, drop the deep dive. So it makes sense. Maybe we do see it this Friday. But then I was like, okay, well, maybe they dropped every single deep dive on Friday. So I went to the next one, the Sight and Sound deep dive that people probably don't care as much about. This one came out on the 26th of June, pretty much a month later than the first one. Pretty much a month later from the first deep dive, we got the second one. And this one is a Wednesday. This came out on a Wednesday, man. So they dropped it in the middle of the week. So I don't want to say it's no rhyme or reason, but, I just assuming maybe he's dropping it on Fridays consistently. Then I was like, all right, let's look at the Dynasty deep dive, the one that we probably all care the most about. This one dropped all the way pretty much a week later than the Sight and Sound one. So this one dropped on July 2nd, which was a Tuesday. So pretty much we can expect it Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday if we're going off last year work, even though I don't think we should, because they clearly doing stuff different from last year. Point is, I don't think we'll get it tomorrow on Tuesday. I don't think we'll get it on Wednesday. If I had to put my money, I would probably go with this upcoming Friday. And if we don't get it on Friday, then I'll go Tuesday of next week is when I think we'll get our first deep dive. Maybe this week we do get just the breakdown of like when we'll get everything. I believe they dropped that last year, like where it just told us, hey, you'll get this week, leading up into the game. So I probably expect that to get that some point if they're gonna drop that again. But other than that, that's what we can expect for the deep dives, in my opinion, man. So let's go ahead and move on to the next question. And this is another question that is pretty interesting, man. What are you most excited for and biggest concerns about College Football 26, man? And I think, for one, I'm a Dynasty guy, man. So I'm always talk the most about Dynasty. One thing I'm probably most excited for, and this might sound lame, but I'm a big roster update guy, man. I like seeing all the new players on the new team, man. Like Madden 2K, whenever I load up all them games, my first thing is just to look at the new players on the new teams, look at everyone overall, their abilities. I like to see the thought process, why certain players, why this guy's an 85 overall. So, I like to look at all that stats. So that's probably the first thing I'll do for my favorite teams. But I'm probably most excited for just the small improvements, man. Dynasty just being in a better spot. Also, recruiting and the transfer portal. Probably the transfer portal is probably my favorite part, man. I love the idea that you could increase settings on the transfer portal and make it more intense, something I was asking for all year. So that's probably one of the things I'm most excited for. I hope recruiting is also like that when it just comes to more challenging. From everything I heard, it is a little bit more challenging, but also like decommits. I want decommits in the game, so I'm excited to see that as well. But if I had to say one thing, definitely the transfer portal and also just seeing everyone new overall. Now, the thing I'm probably most concerned about, man, and for me, I'm a little bit concerned that the game is going to be just small improvements. I know I just talked about something I'm excited for, but that's also concerned that like the game is just small improvements and we don't get the big over the top, improvement or addition. And when I say the big over the top, NIL, a lot of people don't want to see NIL in the game. I get that. I hear you. I want NIL in the game because it's realistic. It is what it is. That is what college football is at this point. NIL plays a major role into college football, and for it to not be in the current version of the game just don't feel right for me. So that's one thing I'm nervous about. Also, I feel as though another big improvement that they could make that I'm a little bit nervous we will not get is most likely we will not get this. It's some type of athletic director mold, man. I talked about this a few times before, but in Madden, you got the owner, you got the coach, you got the offensive coordinator. Well, I think we should get a athletic director or like a sport admin role where we just have oversight of the program. So we're able to hire a head coach, almost like the My GM in 2K if you played that, where you're able to hire the head coach, you're able to hire the coordinators, this, that, and the third. You still could do recruiting if you want to, or you could put all the recruiting on and actually have it work the way I believe it should, or the way, actually have it be good, but also be able to make some of the behind the scenes decisions that, a coach don't make, maybe like when it comes to NIL, if they also put in so if they put NIL and athletic director game on the game, I would be super hyped, man. I'd be going crazy. I don't think we'll get any. That's one of my concerns, that we won't get any, and it's going to leave me disappointed. Probably the majority of people care nothing about the athletic director mode, and I think the majority of people don't even want NIL or rev share in the game at all. But for me, I want the game to be as realistic as possible. So that's probably one of my concerns, man, just not having that, because it just plays such a big role into recruiting. And then this leads into the next question, man. Why should we want NIL in the game when it's ruining college football, man? I think that's a very interesting question. And if you think NIL and rev share is ruining college football, it's ruining maybe the outside, maybe the shell of college football. But the core of college football is still remaining the same. And when I say the core, the games, the games being played on the field, you're probably not worrying about how much your left tackle is making, when you're in the fourth quarter of an intense game. You're probably just not. You're probably not worried about, the NIL portion or, who transferred out this, that, and the third when you playing in the national championship. Or maybe you are worrying about it, when your team is having a bad year and you had a really bad recruiting class because y'all ain't have enough money. Maybe you are worrying about that. But pretty much the core of college football, and that's, the gameplay, the stuff on the field, the upsets, Saturday, do Saturday still feel like Saturday, even with all the NIL mess and rev share mess that is getting cleaned up? It will be cleaned up, we hope, over the next year. Does that ruin, does like the NIL stuff ruin Saturday for you? And some people, I think, answer is yes to that. I think majority of the people answer is no. If you're a guy that's super invested in recruiting like I am, I love to check out the recruiting for my favorite team, see how they doing throughout the year. But for me, it's like now is almost no point, because we get a big time commit. I'm hype. 2 months later, sometimes 2 weeks later, if he is going to a different team. He is transferring out. Or, he's entering the portal after his first year, his first semester. He went to campus for one semester. Didn't like it as a freshman. Now he's going to another team chasing the NIL bag. So I can see how that could ruin NIL, or ruin recruiting aspect if you're super involved. But 9 times out of 10, it's probably not ruining the sport. It's just ruining one aspect of it that you really enjoy. But the core base of college football, the gameplay, is still very good, man. Like, it could be bigger issues. Like, one of the biggest issues for the NBA, man, any NBA guys in here, the reason I don't like the NBA as much is not because of the outside stuff, players asking for trades, it's not that stuff, it's the actual gameplay. And that's the big issue, when the gameplay is the reason, a sport is being ruined, because you really can't really control the gameplay. You could, actually put some restrictions on recruiting, NIL. You could actually change that. But gameplay, when that's ruining it, and for me, it's like the threes. Nothing but threes sometimes feel, I don't know. It's just not enjoyable to watch. As enjoyable as, over the back. I sound like an old head, man. But it's just not as enjoyable to watch for me. Also, even like the flopping stuff. And, sometimes that's not enjoyable to watch either. Constant free throws. So for me personally, we could have worse issues like the NBA, and not saying the NBA dying, but I think a lot of people are turned off by the NBA just by the actual gameplay. Compared to college football, if you turned off by college football, it's probably just because of the NIL stuff. But the good thing, that stuff could be fixed in less than a year if we get, the proper. I know the timer ran out. We're gonna keep going. That stuff could be fixed if we get the proper leadership and that we need in college football. So, last question. Also, to finish that off, why I won it in the game, because I just want a realistic game, man. For example, I don't want to hop on Madden and turn salary cap off, man. I'm not going to hop on 2K franchise and try to rebuild a team with no salary cap. For me, I want a realistic experience, as realistic as possible, that's still going to make the game enjoyable. And I feel like if NIL is done right, it's still going to make the game enjoyable. Well, the best thing about the salary cap in Madden 2K, you could just turn it off. It's a setting. So if you don't want NIL on in your dynasty, just turn it off. That's all EA has to do, is just put a setting in there where you can just turn it off and on, and that really would fix every single problem that we would have with NIL being in the game. So moving on. Last question, super quick one, man. Do you have an online dynasty? If so, how do you join, man? So yes, I will have an online dynasty. I probably will have 2 this upcoming year. If you want to join, let me know. Also, we have a Discord, and the dynasty will be ran through the Discord. If you join the Discord, please do not expect the dynasty to be started yet. I'm waiting closer until the game actually drop. So if you want to join the Discord and talk about college football 25, 26, real life college football, join the Discord. Let's chop it up. And then when the game come out, or closer to when the game is releasing, we'll really organize who's going to be in the league and who's not, man. But that's all I got for y'all boys, man. Appreciate y'all. Please drop any comments down below. Any questions, we'll be sure to answer them every single Monday. And hopefully next Monday, we have some deep dives to talk about, man. But appreciate y'all boys. We on to the next one.